This video is about AI-generated music, but first, how about a human song about AI? Here's part of a song I wrote about AI's influence on our lives. It's called Optimize. You gotta kick it into gear and go as quick as you can go, and never settle on the second prize. You've got to keep your profits high and your losses low. Here's what I advise: got to optimize. The most wealth, the best food, the most gigs, the best health, the most viewed, the best tips, the most perks, the least work, the lowest fare, the least pain, the least care, the least wear, the least sane. So if you want to be the best at what the internet implies, and rest assured that you will beat the rest, at least according to the metrics that it devises. Never criticize it, never analyze it, simply normalize it. Even better, monetize, better yet, commercialize. Your whole self will amortize. Life is perfect when you optimize. So, there we have a human composition, but you've probably heard that AI technologies can also produce entire songs. Let's see what one of them can do. Okay, here we go. This is Suno, an AI song generator. I gave Suno the same text prompt I gave myself. Write an ironic song for piano and voice that criticizes the impetus to optimize our lives, focusing on themes of monetization. It came up with this song, Optimize Your Life. Let's listen to a bit.
Optimize your life, they say. Pack each hour full each day. Monetize your breath, your way. In this hustle we all stay. Numbers rise and numbers fall. We are slaves to them all. Selling time and selling soul. Optimization takes its toll.
Evidently, both Suno and I can make songs. How might we compare what we each did? I want to frame 3 different ways these comparisons can go. The first kind of comparison is product-based. Product-based comparisons ask questions like, does the AI song, i.e. waveform, pass as human? That is, does it pass the Turing test? Are there characteristic differences in the structure of AI music versus human music that we might describe as a machine style? Which musical features make it easier for listeners to distinguish between human and AI-generated music? These kinds of product-based questions encourage us to analyze the music itself, treating music as a string of symbols or as a waveform. We might search for structural features like timbre, instrumentation, or harmonic grammar that defines a genre, or search for diagnostic differences between human and AI-generated content, explaining how the music is structured. In writing my own song, for instance, I made some deliberate structural choices to create and communicate the meaning of the song. The first 3 verses of my song are in E-flat major. I decided to use a pump-up modulation to E major for the final verse to increase the intensity as the climax of the song approaches. At the end of the song, I use an omnibus progression, a progression with chromatic lines in contrary motion, to create a dizzying, climactic absurdity that underscores lyrics that all end with the suffix "eyes," intending to create comedic connections between apparently different words, underscoring the thematic meaning of the song, that optimize is related to monetize and commercial eyes. What these excerpts show is that effective songwriting is complex. We might ask if AI can keep up with this kind of structural complexity. Let's see what Suno did. Suno produced an alternating verse-chorus structure with rhyming couplets. It's generated a kind of macabre waltz, alternating between tonic and dominant harmonies in the verses. And harmonizing a descending chromatic line in the chorus. Lyrically, the technology successfully responded to my prompt by employing metaphors like life's a ledger and in this dance our joy departs. But the song arguably lacks large-scale cohesion and progression. Each rhyming couplet or verse could seemingly swap order without changing the contour of the song at all. There are also some lyrical oddities like "in this race we can't digest," and at least for me it's hard to sense any irony in this song, as was requested in the prompt. But I quibble. We could instead focus on Suno's successes. After all, it did generate a waveform of an entire song from a text prompt in seconds, and it would be foolish to dismiss the possibility of more complex songwriting in future AIs. Does the song pass as human? Can you tell it's been produced by AI? What features, small and large scale, tip you off? While a product-centric perspective provides one set of questions, there are other comparisons we can make. Rather than look at the music as a product, we might consider how the music was generated. That is, questions about musical process. Characteristic questions include, what are the fundamental ways an AI system can process information, for example, symbolic versus connectionist systems? How can we model human musical processes to make better AIs? What can we learn about human cognition by studying the way AI systems operate? Let's briefly compare my process with Suno's. I can tell you that my song resulted from a mix of improvising, appealing to my implicit knowledge of harmonic grammars and embodied knowledge of piano technique, and some explicit decisions, for instance, deliberately fitting in an omnibus progression. I might supplement this self-report with psychological work on creativity that shows improvisers' reliance on pre-learned patterns, or neuroscientific work on improvisers' categorization of substitutable musical structures. I cannot tell you exactly how Suno works. To my knowledge, the algorithms are not publicly available. But in general, AI can use different compositional processes. One major approach uses symbolic models, which use explicitly coded variables and serial processing to algorithmically generate music. For instance, here's a very simple music AI that I programmed in Python. It is basically a random chord generator with a harmonic grammar that I simply hard-coded by explicitly determining the probability of the different harmony transitions that puts a melody note on top. You can see that everything is explicitly defined, from the timbre, a square wave, to the amplitude envelope, a percussive sound, to the transition probabilities between chords, which I hard-coded here. The output sounds like this. Clearly, I'm better at writing piano music than programming AI, but with a symbolic AI, I know exactly how this program works. In contrast, many modern AI systems use connectionist approaches, extracting patterns from large corpora of training examples. Machine learning allows it to effectively map inputs, for example, a text prompt, to outputs, a waveform. If you wanted to generate music in a certain genre using symbolic AI, you would have to define the essential features explicitly. Curiously, for connectionist models, a system does not need to explicitly identify essential features, although some systems can. It just needs to reproduce the patterns. An AI could use both symbolic and connectionist approaches. For instance, symbolic elements could explicitly provide harmonic grammars or song forms, verse, chorus, etc., while text generation could be left to connectionist aspects. In sum, so far, we have compared human and AI music as products and processes. What's a third way?
Optimize your life, they say. Pack each hour full each day. Monetize your breath your way. In this hustle we'll stay.
Sounds good, Tori. Notice that both the product-based and process-based comparisons treat music as an object, be it a waveform or symbolic notation. Even the process-based comparisons are concerned with how waveforms or symbols are produced. But of course, that's not all that music is. Many music thinkers fit in with what Eric Drott has summarized as the praxeological turn in music sociology, a shift in ontology from music as product to music as a social practice. With this view, as it pertains to AI, other questions come into focus. How do AI-based music streaming recommendations change people's listening practices? How can machines and humans collaborate creatively? What assumptions do music information retrieval researchers make about what music is, and what do they overlook? My third comparison aligns with this last question. What do we overlook when we focus on musical products as opposed to practices in our comparisons with AI? So let's ask the ontological question. The song I wrote, Optimize, what is it? Is it the score? Is it the waveform of my performance? Or is it something else? With a practice-based ontology of music, we can expand our view of what the song is. For me, the complete process of the song's generation was not just the musical tasks of improvising and inserting an omnibus progression. It was many things. The noticing of something I saw as problematic, optimization and its associated political economy. The being in a world with AI. Yes, the act of writing the notes and lyrics. And the sharing of the song in this music theory video. Not to mention the targeting of an audience who also lives in a society with optimizing forces at play, and the commentating in the form of this video. Thus, a practice-based ontological perspective identifies the musical process as this whole package, not just its notes, but the product as all of its social purpose. I wrote the song for a reason. Incidentally, the same reason motivates me to make this video, to critique AI. What processes surround Suno's song generation? The machine learning from waveforms and text, and the producing of waveforms and text, yes. But the practice-based ontological comparison would follow up by asking questions like, how did Suno choose a topic that is meaningful? How does it decide which audience to share it with? What does it hope to accomplish with its music? Why is it making music as opposed to prose or some other art form? This social frame motivates different questions than a product-based ontology of music would. And if we are evaluating AI, then we should apply a different benchmark than, does it sound human, or do you like the sound? I would argue that Suno is relatively impoverished in these regards. It did not choose a meaningful topic without equivocating meaningful with something like popular or robustly represented in the training corpus. Anyway, I gave it the prompt in this case. Or that choosing an audience is anything more than employing an algorithm that maximizes listening time or matches prior listening habits, algorithms which, again, are humans applied. One might counter that these social elements of songwriting and song sharing are themselves some form of process, and that if some intelligent agent, like humans, could do it, then perhaps it can be replicated with an artificial agent. Perhaps. It would seem to require more than implementing an algorithm to generate a waveform, and it's true that humans also learn from training sets and implement algorithms on some level, but human intelligence and creativity is not just computational, it's also embedded in the world in ways that an AI like Suno is not, yet. To be clear, I'm not arguing to chauvinistically retain some kind of human essentialism in music making, but my point is that we can, and I would argue should, include this social framework of comparison in how we evaluate AI music making. Of course, human-supplied activities could surround AI, automating compositional subtasks for human composers, constraining musical parameters to boost human creativity, or frankly, supplanting human creative labor through cheaply and automatically producing music, an activity that clearly benefits from product-oriented ontologies of music. But here, the social purpose of AI's music practice is homuncular. It only has a social purpose because the humans who use it do. So why do we care if an AI can write songs? A focus on musical products certainly has economic value and potentially human-AI collaborative value, but it will miss many other sources of musical value without considering the social practices of music making. When social purpose becomes fair play for music's ontology, the relevant points of comparison change, and the impoverished social purpose of AI-generated music, at least without humans using it for their own social aims, is underscored. In light of this perspective, let me leave you with some more rhyming couplets. Here's a song Suno wrote based on a different prompt. Write a song on a topic of societal importance that deserves critique.
Break free from these digital chains. Rise up.